Hey there, it's that coding guy here. In this video, I'll walk you through how to get started with Java and get you into a spot where you can start playing around with some code. To do that, we're going to need a couple of things, and these two things can be done in any order, but we do need them both before we can really get started. One of the things that we need is the JDK, and that stands for Java Development Kit. This is going to be a bunch of tools that will help our computer know what to do when we want to work with Java. So to grab this guy, what we can do is go to the JDK site, and what I did here is just type in Java JDK into Google, and I went with the Oracle site. They are the folks who develop Java. And I'm on a Windows machine, so I'm going to click the Windows tab here, and I'll go ahead and grab the 64-bit installer. This is just going to download. Once we've got that, we can go ahead and open it up, and that's going to bring up the installer to walk us through this. Now mine's already installed, so it's asking me if I would like to go ahead and do it again. And I'll say sure to walk you guys through this. But it's really just going to be a couple of things that we can next through. So I'll hit next here. It's asking me where I want to install it. C program files, Java is fine. It's a very typical place to install that. Once that's done, nothing magical happens. We're just pretty much good to go on that front. Now, the other thing that we need to install is an IDE, which stands for Integrated Development Environment. If I could type. This is a personal choice between developers. It depends on what language they're using and what they like. There's lots of different IDEs out there. I prefer IntelliJ, so that's what I'll be using. And if you would like to follow along with this video, you can go grab the IntelliJ Community Edition. It's free, and it is a bit of a download, so if you're on a slow connection, it may take a bit, but go ahead and grab that guy. I happen to have Community, or the Ultimate version already installed, but I can walk you through what that looks like. I also just typed IntelliJ download into Google here, and we can go with this first site here. And we can see right here already, again, I'm on a Windows machine, and we can just download the Community Edition, and that go ahead and got started. It's about a little more than half a gig there, so might take a bit on a slower connection. Once that is downloaded there, you can go ahead again and double click that and open up an installer, and pretty much just go ahead and go through the installation menu there. Typically all the defaults will be just fine. All right, once you've got IntelliJ downloaded and installed, you can open it up, and you might come into something that looks a bit like this. And somewhere I'm sure there will be a new project button. Maybe yours doesn't look exactly like this, but if we hit this guy, we'll come into this new project, and there's a bunch of different generators here that you could choose from if you were doing something a little more advanced. But for us, this first Java project, we're just trying to get going. We don't need to worry about all those. So I'm just going to enter a name for my project here. I'm going to call it Demo. Now, I would recommend, if you haven't already, creating a directory on your desktop or a place on your computer that's easily accessible to you, because you'll be doing a lot of stuff, and it really helps to stay organized over time, especially over the long haul. So I went ahead and created a code directory on my desktop, and if I browse here, there's a handy dandy desktop directory button. I wish a lot of other things had this, because it's handy. And I just chose my code directory here. And we don't need to worry about the Git repository. We'll talk about that beast in some other videos, I'm sure. We've got the Java language here, and IntelliJ build system as defaults. That's great. Now we do need to select the JDK. Mine's already pre-populated here because I've used it before, but you might have to come in here and add JDK. And if you remember, maybe we downloaded that and installed it into program files, C program files, Java. So you can point your guy to here. And that's good. You can see I've done this several times while creating this video, so now I've got several of them, but that's okay. And then my recommendation is to go ahead and add sample code and hit that checkbox if it's not already. That'll help us get going really easily. From there, we can just hit create. And this brings us into IntelliJ proper. Usually some stuff popping up. We can kind of minimize that stuff, get it out of the way. On the left side here, we've got our navigation tree, our Project Explorer. So see here that we've got a source directory, and we've got the main class hanging out here, and some other things we don't really need to worry about too much. Now if I double click on this main file, that's going to open that up in this tab here. And that's probably not too easy for you guys to see. So what I'll do, this may be helpful to you, is if you come into File and go to Settings, and if we click mouse, or sorry, if we type mouse here, and come to Editor tabs, there is a, oh, it wasn't Editor tabs, was it? It's under General, yes. Change font size with Control and mouse wheel in. And if you check that guy and hit apply, I can now hold Control and scroll my mouse wheel toward you guys. And that's going to increase my font size. And if I scroll it back toward me, it's going to decrease my font size. This is especially helpful when I'm presenting. So that's nice and big there. You'll see that our main class here got us a bunch of stuff. And that we've got these play buttons on the left side. I call this a gutter. It's our left gutter there. And if we go ahead and hit play here, and I'm left clicking and hit run, this should run this program. And that's going to compile all of our code and execute it. And you'll see down here, you can also mouse wheel this guy with Control. We got this hello world and process finished with exit code 0. Well, that sounds ominous. Actually, exit code 0 is great. That means our code ran with no problems. So you'll see here that we've got this system out print line, println hello world, and that's the command that printed hello world to our console. So this is great. This is a foundation where we can start messing around with some Java code and trying to run it and see what happens. This is all scrunched up on one line. You'll see we've got these curly braces here, and actually I just clicked one and it kind of reformatted and restyled this so that it's a little more easily read. We can understand here that this code block between our curly braces contains one statement. We're in a public class, and we've got a public static void main method. We can dig into all that stuff later, but the important thing to know is that the main method is the method that's going to run when we click the play button. So for now, if we just want to write a bunch of code and test some things out, and if we just do it in here, it's going to try to execute everything in here. So we can talk a little bit about data types and things in a further video, but I at least wanted to get a video done that covered how to set up a workbench, so to speak, and get started playing with code. Cheers.